I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you could please rise. And say the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could you just please have a moment of silence? Thank you. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Campion?
Here.
Mrs. King? Here. Mr. Herner?
Here.
Mr. Merrison?
Here.
Mr. Schuler absent. Mr. Borbeck?
Here.
Mayor O'Brien?
Here. The statement of compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Pursuant to the requirement of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice filed in the office of the Borough Clerk, posted on the Borough website and on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Co-Star newspaper and mailed to those requesting notice and providing payment in accordance with Borough policy. Then we're going to start with, after that, an approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? We need a
Mr.
roll call.
Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. Herner?
Yes.
Mr. Merrison?
Yes.
Mr. Borbeck?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And then approval of the minutes for the April 25th, 2016 executive session. Is it the same group of people for both?
We can, if you want to group it, we can.
Okay, and the May 9th, 2016 executive and regular session.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. Herner?
Yes.
Mr. Merrison?
Yes.
Mr. Borbeck?
Abstain.
Thank you.
We don't have, good. We don't have any planned presentation or scheduled public hearings, which brings us to the public comment section for agenda items. If you have anything that you wish to say about the current agenda, please step forward, state your name and address, and address the chair. Seeing no hands, can I get a motion to close the public
I'll
comment
make
section?
that motion.
Second.
That brings us to our discussion.
Roll call, Mayor.
Roll
I'm
call,
sorry.
sorry.
I was just typing, I'm sorry. Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. Herner?
Yes.
Mr. Merrison?
Yes.
Mr. Borbeck?
Yes.
So we have several discussion items. The first one is an amendment to the Borough Code, Chapter 17, Flood Damage Prevention. Do you want to speak on that, Jay?
Yes, Mayor, the council will recall that this was prompted by a request from a resident on Shore Road that was part of our agenda at the last meeting. This ordinance provides for the change in the definition of substantial damage and substantial improvement under our existing flood damage prevention ordinance. This is in keeping with the request of the property owner, specifically has to do with the insertion or inclusion of the repetitive losses as part of the definition and threshold at which a substantial damage would kick in. Essentially, what this was instigated or requested by the property owner as a result of the specifics are that this property owner sustained flood damage in both Irene and Sandy, neither one of which constituted a 50% damage, which would have triggered a substantial damage and substantial improvement requirement. That's significant from the homeowner's standpoint because under the flood insurance program, over and above whatever the flood limits are of your insurance policy, there's an additional $30,000 that's available under what's referred to as ICC, the increased cost of compliance. And in that case, those funds are made available to a homeowner to bring their entire structure up to code. In this particular case, as I mentioned earlier, the property owner did not sustain substantial damage in either of the individual floods, but collectively that ICC would be triggered if our ordinance provided for the repetitive losses to be included in the definition.
And that's the key there, right? The insurance company isn't arguing that they shouldn't be paying the claim. They're arguing that they shouldn't be paying the claim because we haven't specified the specific damage. even though they are agreeing that that damage exists.
That's correct. And again, this is an additional $30,000 that can be used by the homeowner to bring the property into compliance with the current code.
And I mean, in speaking with you, the review that we've had is that I mean, it's only several property owners that would even be in this category of flood ownership. There's not really a detriment to the town in doing this. It just seems like we're, the insurance company is looking for any loophole whatsoever. Let's get rid of that loophole.
Let's close the loophole.
Yeah,
I agree.
that's basically what we're trying to do here.
I'm in favor.
The next agenda item is the Monmouth County Assessment Demonstration Program. I believe that we're tabling that, we're not going to vote for that. But essentially, I mean, we have it on the agenda because we wanted to, if we were going to potentially opt out. So that's why it's on the agenda. The capital program status report, the final discussion item.
You're going to change that ordinance, or are we
Oh, yeah, we can introduce that tonight, right?
So,
Ready to go?
the
Okay.
council
Yes, I'd
president-
like to.
Okay.
We can, if you want, we can either do it right now or make it part of the ordinance introduction with the other ordinance that we have.
Let's do it right now while we're,
All right.
so we don't skip it.
And I'll motion to introduce.
I'll second.
Okay, then we're going to just name it. And I'm gonna-
Again, to be clear, we're introducing the change to that ordinance that we just spoke about before, which is the Borough Code Chapter 7, or 17, flood damage prevention. It's in the agenda.
I'm just going
Change
to
it.
read it, Mayor's.
Go ahead, please do.
Ordinance number 2016-04, an ordinance amending Chapter 27, flood damage prevention of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Spring Lake Heights, New Jersey. Be ordained by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Spring Lake Heights in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey as follows. Section 1, Chapter 27, entitled Flood Damage Prevention of the revised general...
Chapter
17, sorry, thank you. Flood damage prevention of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Spring Lake Heights, New Jersey is hereby amended at section 17-2, definitions to replace the definitions of substantial damage and substantial improvement with the following. Substantial damage shall mean damage of any origin sustained by a structure whereby the cost of restoring the structure to its condition before damage would equal or exceed 50% of the market value of the structure before the damage occurred. Substantial damage also means flood-related damages sustained by a structure on 2 or more separate occasions during a 10-year period for which the cost of repairs at the time of each flood event on the average equals or exceeds 25% of the market value of the structure before the damages occurred. Substantial improvement shall mean any reconstruction, rehabilitation, addition, or other improvement of a structure during a 10-year period, the cost of which equals or exceeds 50% of the market value of the structure before the start of construction of the improvement. Substantial improvement also means cumulative substantial improvement. This term includes structures which have occurred substantial damage regardless of the actual repair work performed or repetitive loss. This term does not, however, include either A, any project for improvement of the structure to correct existing violations of state or local health, sanitary, or safety code specifications which have been identified by the local code officer and which are the minimum necessary to assure safe living conditions. Or B, any alteration of a historic structure, provided that the alteration will not preclude the structure's continued designation as a historic structure. Section 2, all ordinances or parts of ordinances inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such inconsistency. Section 3, if any portion of this ordinance shall be determined to be invalid, such determination shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of said ordinance. Section 4, this ordinance shall take effect upon final passage and publication in accordance with the law.
Thank you, Jeannie.
You're welcome. So now I'll take
The roll call.
I
What, made a motion in a second?
My motion, I'm second.
Thank you. Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. Herner?
Yes.
Mr. American?
Yes.
Mr. Borga?
Yes.
So we will have a public hearing at our next meeting, June 13th.
Okay, thank you. And then that brings us to our final discussion item, the capital program status report.
Yes, Mayor, with us this evening is Joe May, Borough Engineer. As a result of a request that was made at the last, actually, not the last meeting, the meeting before, to provide the council with a regular update of various capital projects and other projects that are pending. Joe and I have worked together to prepare this list that has been distributed to the council. You can see we have general categories. Rather than go through each individual item, I would just point out that on page 1, we have a listing of grant applications that are either current or pending, or that we have application deadlines approaching soon. Specifically, you will note that the Monmouth part of the agenda, which you haven't gotten to yet, includes a correspondence regarding the Monmouth County Open Space Grant Program, and there's a September deadline for the application. The first application we have coming is in June. We have actually two applications for the energy audit grant program, as well as a safe routes to school program. In the next meeting, we will be seeing specific information regarding the planned applications for those two grant programs. The NJDOT municipal aid has indicated there's that cycle has not yet been announced. Typically, those applications are due in the fall. The next column, DPW vehicle and equipment purchases, was listed there, the roll-off container truck, which we anticipate being a purchase that will be made during the third quarter of this year, and likewise for the recycling compactors and containers. Both of these items we'll discuss somewhat at length during our budget preparations earlier this year. Miscellaneous item, tax map updates, and again, indicating that we are awaiting proposals for that project. On page 2, under the broad category of buildings and grounds, we have listed each borough facility and any pending major improvements projects, as well as some relatively minor repairs and improvements that will be conducted in-house. Most significantly there, the community center improvements, and I would note that you would see that in March we awarded a contract for preliminary design to the architect, and I don't want to take any thunder away from Mr. Herner, but as part of his report, but today we received some preliminary drawings, and I believe the committee will be reviewing that within the near future. Yes. Moving down, the DPW site remediation, we had previously authorized earlier this year the funding, and we have a licensed site remediation professional, LSRP, who is preparing the necessary update to NJDEP for our site remediation and our public workshop. Fire siren has indicated that funding is in place from last year's budget, and that is on hold, waiting further instruction and discussions. Under parks, repairs and maintenance, we have no major projects pending there, but we have listed and identified various improvements and purchases that are ongoing, and indicates those that are active and those that are in the works. The next column, our road and drainage projects. In this area, we also have broad categories for items that come up on a day-to-day basis. Complaints regarding tree removal, potholes, curbs, traffic signs, ongoing street restoration by New Jersey Natural Gas for any installations that they perform. Most significantly there, we have listed the two NJDOT projects that are currently in the works, and I would defer to Joe May to provide updates on the cycle, the schedule, and where those two projects are specific.
The Northern and Broadbeat plans are completed. We've done our sanitary sewer investigations, and we will be receiving bids June 30th. The DOT Mercer Avenue improvements are going to follow shortly after that. I haven't completed the plan yet, but my plan is to get Crosby on the ground and follow shortly after that with the Mercer Avenue. the drainage, that is something that we're gonna have to discuss, there's different options. The biggest issue we have there is the moratorium on Highway 71, and I met with DOT, and we need to build a record of flooding until we recognize that that Park Avenue is a problem.
It comes all the way down 71 and flows into Park Avenue, basically, right?
Right, and I think the biggest thing we can do as a government, as I can do and everyone can do is call state when it floods every time.
Okay.
They need to have a record of it. That's what they told me.
The more complaints that they get, the more we can say, look, every time it flooded.
Yes.
All right. If anybody lives near Park Avenue and you see it flooding, feel free to call me.
And we can't do that through the municipality, it would have to be regular persons living on the street.
Well, no, we can.
Well, we can do it too, but
Yeah.
But the more complaints they get, the higher it gets rated.
Oh, for
It's
more people, okay.
or just if you're driving down 71 and that part of 71 is flooding.
So we can maybe provide the phone number for people to call?
Sure.
Yeah, that would help.
Because where do you begin?
Put it on the website.
Yeah, it would be on the website, great.
Moving on to the next broad category on page 3, the water sewer utility. And again, during our budget preparation discussions, there was significant discussion on our planned capital projects that are dedicated to the utility side. We have a number of items that are ongoing, the map updates. We have completed the tank inspections. They were completed late last year, and the current annual well inspections are scheduled. That will happen sometime this month. Also, an ongoing project is the hydrant and valve replacement. You can see that over the last 5 years, we have escalated the number of hydrants and valves that have been replaced. And I'll turn it over to Mr. May. That is also a priority list that changes based on the annual hydrant flushing program.
Our water department prepares a report every time we do our hydrant flushing. We just finished our April hydrant flushing on those. So actually, this year, we tried something, we boiled the hydrants first. And actually, some of the hydrants, which were previous probably became a little bit better this time. And our priors have shifted as far as our worst hydrants to our best hydrants. So the ones that are broken are still at the top of the list. We have just received our shipment of hydrant replacements a few weeks ago. One of the POs, I'm not sure who signs that, I think it's American. Just paid that bill for the new hydrants, and we're going to get them on the schedule. Not to jump ahead, but right now we're in pothole repair mode, so trying to get some of that stuff done. So the hydrant will probably be pushed a couple weeks out to the warmer months anyway. Weather, quite frankly, hasn't been that great. We're just getting the parks and everything, gas cut in the schedule there. But getting back to hydrant valve replacement, we have an updated list, and Mr. American is aware of that list, and we've gone over that because there's some new broken valves, new rounded valves. We're going to look at one weekly visit on the busy roadway, but then we're going to put a little RFP together to get that repaired.
How many do you think we're gonna get done this year? Rough.
Roughly, I'd say 6 to 8.
All right, so 6 to 8 this year, but, and besides, so you're working off your
I'm
list
saying
of,
not from public works side.
right, I mean, how much do we, well, what do we budget for? We budget for closer to 10, right?
We have $40,000.
Yeah, right,
So that's about 10.
right, which is double what we did last year. But, and just to be clear, you're working off your list of ones you actually see in the field that are broken at this time. And then we have the problem of the antiquated hydrants that we've had from
Well-
1933, which is
well-
always on the list.
My list is looking at every hydrant.
Right, well, but that's always there. So what I'm trying to say is, if say you had 15 hydrants that were broken today, if you fix them all today, we'd still have 70 1930s vintage that can't be repaired and must be replaced at some
Just
point.
tell me the ones that work.
Well, I just wanted to give a clear impression. It sounded like we just have this small thing. He can't get to the bigger number because of these smaller ones keep breaking, which is a whole different thing. This is an ongoing thing until they're all replaced, because they're gone and you should have a safe fire hydrant. And we're doing the best we can.
There's 20 right now that need to be replaced just to have a functioning system.
Yeah, and you don't want to replace them all at one time, so it'll be our system is crazy enough. Can you imagine the hydraulic problems we've had with dirty water, so I just want to make that clear. And the other thing I just want to preface on this, Crosby Road is going to bid on June 30th. Crosby, Jeanette, and Norm, they've been waiting a long time, and I'm sure those people are going to be very happy we're getting going on that project. So that's good. Yes, sir.
Continuing on the water sewer utility, on the water side, well number 4 is set for closure. Those funds are in place, and bids are scheduled to be received on June 21st. So that will be a project that will presumably happen during the summer months. It should have minimal, actually almost no impact on the water system at all. We've also identified a number of unmetered water services in our public facilities that we will be tackling that list as well in the coming months. On the sanitary sewer side of the utility, the most important issue there is the Shore Road and Black Creek wastewater pump stations, the 2 lift stations. We were successful, and I'll turn that over to Joey to provide background on the grant funds and the schedule.
As you recall, we received an HSDP grant for $650,000, or $600,000 rather, and we specialized work, I solicited 2 proposals for that. I'm reviewing them, they're not exactly the same, of course. Just as you folks, as I talked in our budget hearings, the numbers came in what we thought they were going to be 10 to 50% of the construction for the grant value. Moving down the fairway, I have received a few proposals. It's a lot less than Shore Road, of course, and we're going to move forward with getting the evaluation and the design done to upgrade that pump station. Along with that, in the past 2 weeks, the emergency generator at Fairway has failed. I have a temporary one on loan from Spring Lake that I have on standby that we can plug into that board right there. That's why you folks see that green generator sitting there.
So if the power goes out, we can hook it up right now and operate that?
Plug it in.
What's the timeline for a permanent solution?
We're going to order, right now, Billy Rett's working on finding me another replacement generator. I preferably want to go with Generac, so I have a wider field.
Okay.
Kohler's the industry
But we're
standard
going to
for
replace
commercial, though.
Yeah,
Just saying.
the reality is, try to get a Kohler here in Sandy, you're not getting it out here. There's more Generacs, sales, and.
But bigger screens, that's what I'm saying. I don't see a lot of commercial. Everybody, the industry says everybody uses Kohler, but that's.
Yeah.
This is also a
You guys.
relatively small pump station.
No, I'm
compared to the other
familiar,
two.
yeah.
The 10 kW station, we have a 17 there. We're going to keep the pot to that. We run preliminary counts for erosion. And the preliminary design discussed with the sewer expert. We want to put a comment in. We have a problem with that station with the handy wipes. There, those were a lot of the station up. So we don't want to just change the pumps and still have the maintenance issues that we have. Going down the list, I have received a proposal, an estimate. Jay asked me to get an estimate for the sewer station on Bright Lane. Put a RFP out for that.
And just one correction, that indicates, the schedule indicates a 4th quarter 2016. That's actually a 3rd quarter 2016 project. We expected that would happen shortly after, right after the summer months. That does involve some bypass, and it's not a project that could be undertaken during the summer months.
And we're gonna look at the other potential over on Lake and when we do the preliminary for the pump station improvements, you're saying? Televising? Same problem we have out here.
Yes.
We may have there to determine if we do.
Right now, I want to at least get this area I know that needs to be done.
Yeah, but that has to be.
So just what do we need to do, like what is the next step for the Black Creek Shore Road pump station?
Once I'm comfortable with the proposal being apples, folks can decide who you want to hire.
Okay, so
This is the design.
we'll be seeing those proposals shortly, we'll make a decision, and then we'll try to fix it. Okay, good.
What's the timeframe for work
I
will
can
start?
do my
What's
best.
the work?
I have one that I'm favoring versus another, but I'll have them both tailored by the next meeting.
Great, thank you.
And to answer the question, timeline, the Fairway News pump station is a smaller unit. Obviously, we will not be able to take all the pump stations out of service at the same time. But those are expected to be fall, winter, spring projects. Probably in that order.
We also need to keep in mind there is a 24-month grant period
Correct.
to utilize those funds. And every month we have to report, we're on schedule with that as well.
Did you and the bids have a timeline in there of a start date?
Yes.
What was that timeframe?
It's to be consistent with the grant.
That's all it was?
In the final category, under utility, vehicle, and equipment purchases, as part of our budget discussions, there were 2 vehicles identified for replacement. The first is a jetback vehicle. We have received those bids. In fact, tonight's meeting agenda includes the funding ordinance for that, and we are in the process of scheduling an on-site inspection and demonstration, coordinating that with the Public Works Committee and the Utility Committee. So that we expect will happen, if not this week, most likely next week. And then the final item is the utility vehicle, and that's expected to be a fall-winter replacement. At this time, we expect that will be purchased under the Monmouth County Cooperative Purchasing Agreement, and we believe, I believe that they're scheduled to receive new bids this summer for that type of equipment.
Yeah, they're actually covering the market by the time they post them.
So Mayor, just to summarize, over the course of the next 2 to 4 months, I think almost every meeting there will be some aspect of this capital program on the agenda, either in terms of a bid award, a funding mechanism, but it is our intent that we would provide, probably on a quarterly basis, an update like this, or more frequently if council's request.
Well, I think we have the sheet now on a quarterly